And we are live, everyone. Welcome. My name is Trent, aka TD, and I am here with the one and only Kafer General, current OIG of Wax. Kafer, thank you so much, first of all, for joining me. And how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. Can't
Great.
complain.
Looking at who's the first one in line.
Morning. Yeah, morning is it's 11, yeah.
Y'all are probably close in time zones, I would think, right?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think Andrews and I are.
Yeah, so Kay, for your might here, I don't know if you've watched any of our streams before, but we have some of our regulars. We have intro audio sound bites, and they're all hilarious. Some of them are louder than others, some are more distracting than others. But overall, it's fun, and that's the kind of even on serious interviews, like I don't turn them off because that wouldn't be what fun is that? So you just heard a hell yeah, that was Mr. Dre 77. What's up, Mr. Dre? And all right, I see a bunch of people here. I'm gonna go paste into the Wax community chat.
Oh yeah, I didn't do that yet.
Yeah, I
Just
feel
came
bad.
to my PC, so
I get it, do it because last time I did it here, and he yelled at me for it, but I think
yeah,
it's
actually, as you can see, no throne this time. Because my throne is broken, I'm sitting in my wife's PC. So that's hence the background.
yeah, I did it anyways. I'm sorry, Enio, if you're listening.
Ouch.
I think that might be the loudest one. I think, and I can
I hope
certainly,
so.
yeah, I could turn these down here a little bit too. All right, so I did take some notes. I have a PowerPoint. It's not a good PowerPoint, but there was just a lot of screenshots and pictures and things that I wanted to make sure that I had at my disposal. But before we get into all of that, I want to ask you some questions that I generally do not know the answer to.
Okay.
And that's rare because I normally in interviews will ask questions I know the answer to, but I want to know the history of the OIG, and even if you can start as far back as the uh, the issues that were seen on EOS with Block One, because if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of where it evolves from. Like Wax looked over at EOS and was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah,
eh,
the issue with EOS was not block one, it was exchanges.
Okay.
So, at least as far as I experienced the situation, on EOS, you had the exchanges, and the exchanges would stake the tokens they had of their users, and would use these tokens to vote each other in. So you had this collusion of exchanges voting each other in,
Right.
and then you had people start to use the funds they got to buy votes. So they started to pay proxies. So the proxies would start to vote for them. And then the proxies would start to pay their voters. So they would proxy with them. So what we end up with EOS, at least it was back in the time, this voter cartel where the guilds, the exchanges would vote for each other, and everybody was buying votes. And most of the value what that was distributed to the producers was not actually feeding the ecosystem, at least
Right.
not in a productive way. And that's
Define
where
feeding the ecosystem, though. What can you just give a for anybody who might not know what you mean by that?
with it I mean, for example, providing free or public infrastructure. Right now, does not have a single free public atomic assets API, not one.
Ouch.
So, and this is the issues we have on EOS, and this
Charles,
is
did you hear
something
that? I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
we don't have on Wax because of the OIG. Because of the OIG, the guilds are required to contribute to the ecosystem. That's why we have all this public infrastructure, why we have ongoing development. And every guild contributes with products, with ecosystem development, with content. Everybody has to do something to have their position, and they need
Sure.
to invest the money they get back into the ecosystem. And because it's not fully reliant on votes, they can't just go out and buy the votes. And the
Right.
guilds then, on the other hand, are excluded from the OIG voting. No, sorry, not the guilds. The exchanges are excluded from the OIG voting. So even if the exchanges were to stake their tokens, they would not be able to influence the outcome unless it's not known that the voting account is an exchange account. But that's not that easy to do because they
Yeah, yeah.
change track records.
Gotcha. And I'm watching y'all's questions, Jointy. I'm going to star them for now, and I'm going to do my best to circle. I mean, this one's such an easy layup, one that I guess we can go ahead and answer it. What if the guilds pay the OIG?
How would the guilds pay the OIG? I think there's a clear rule that says that no guild can be affiliated with any IG. If a guild is affiliated with an IG, they lose their position because that's a minimum requirement.
Right. Yeah. So
So
define affiliated, though, right? I guess that's, or is it defined? Because
it's not fully defined. So usually an IG can't be part of a guild. So if now a guild would start to pay an IG on a regular basis, I would assume he is paid and essentially in a paid position of this guild. So the guild
yeah,
would lose their guild candidate status.
right.
So,
So
and then you have the whole system of guilds' interests not being aligned. If one guild would start to pay the OIG, I don't think that people would sit that out.
right, and so, Jointy, this is by design. I feel like we talked about this. We can cover this
Yeah.
up maybe just a little bit. He'll probably go into that, but still touching on the guilds and the IG. So I don't think it's any secret that you and Ben are close. Or you and Hive are close. I think if anybody look at the blockchain, you could see this, right? Um,
You
where
can
where
see
is
that on the blockchain? Why?
that? Well, I mean, I wish I had the data to. It's just there's a lot of
Oh,
transactions back
I
and forth
think
and
there
sharing.
is there is a confusion. Um, so before Ben decided to become a guild, I bought the suffix hive.
Okay.
So I own the suffix hive. All accounts with very minor exceptions that have the suffix hive belong to me.
Why didn't that's interesting. That's interesting.
I mentioned that a
Y'all need
couple
to get that
times
straight.
because there was a lot of speculation about Hive doing Ben
Right.
doing
Yeah.
crazy stuff, and I was like, no, this is me, and I kept saying this is me. The guy that shoved votes around in the first election was me testing the the
Ye
voting
right,
contract
right, right.
because I realized there was something off with the votes. So, and this was me using my business accounts, and all my Hive accounts are my personal business accounts.
Y'all need to get that straightened out, man, yeah, for real, because, like, that could get super sticky,
Because I
and
wanted before I became an IG, I wanted to found a guild, and the idea of this guild was I was a community guy. I was deep in the community and wanted to found a community guild. That was before there were essentially any community-run guilds aside of Pink. Most of the guilds back then came over from EOS. I think Pink was the only one that was actually coming from Wax. So I had this idea of having a hive mind guild essentially of community
right, right,
members.
right.
So that's why I bought the moniker Hive.
Sure, yeah,
The
yeah, yeah, yeah.
suffix.
No, it's a good one, I like it a lot. The Beatles is questionable. Where does the beetle come from? What's the what, because I've heard people made mention to, well, I'll just come out and say it, cults and the occult, and they've, made very, very loose and
What beetle do you
understand.
mean?
Well, I don't wanna name drop them. I've seen pictures that were like, that's pushing it in, like, the exact, like, shape that they were pointing out. I'm like, "Yeah, but that's the EOS logo that is behind, I think,
Yeah,
the beetle," and so I said,
yeah.
"That doesn't really work," and so, like, I was defending it. I'm not a believer in it, but just to like I'm just curious and would like to get it out there, like where the beetle in fact does come from. Are you in a cult? I guess is what I'm asking.
I don't know what beetle you mean. Do you mean my beetle logo I
Yes.
have on?
Yes.
Oh, this is because Käfer means beetle in German.
Okay, so I guess then where does Kafer come from then? Like why what's the connection? Is there a backstory at all
There
to
is a long backstory. Back when I was 12 years old, we played a ton of Counter-Strike,
Mhm.
and we named each other after characters from an anime. And the guy I was named after was this crazy dude who, with his humanoid beetle army, wanted to to rule the world.
Okay.
So, because I had this crazy playstyle, I was
Yeah.
unpredictable. I was this guy, and then there were more people that started to use the name of this guy. So down the road, when I got more involved in the
Sure,
IT
sure, sure.
space because I'm a software developer, I switched the name to General Buck because the guy was essentially
Yeah.
the guy, yeah, the general of the bugs. And this is funny
Yeah.
because it's also funny for developers because it's a general bug, it's a general failure.
Right, 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 right. Dasma staying
And
in the audience, man. I love it. Nice to see you, man. I don't
and then it
I luckily don't have any gaming tags from back from decades ago. Go ahead, Kate. I'm sorry.
and then I just flipped it around at some point and made it German because in German I can make it one word
Yeah.
without breaking any grammatical rules. And Käfer General is never taken anywhere. So if you see Käfer General, it's a 99% chance it's me. And
Gotcha.
it made it easy for me. And that's where the Käfer comes from and why I am
Gotcha.
Käfer everywhere and have the Beatles in the logo. Also, I'm a nature guy and I like Beatles.
Cool. Yeah. So I mean Chris has a question and I guess it's kind of um maybe going in
It's
the direction of
there
are
are
any of the IGs or OIGs doxed? Are they fully doxed?
I think all side of me are doxed, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and then I guess internally, it's done. Does Wax or does anybody do any kind of background check before?
There is no official background check because in the end it's a community elected election. So even if you did a background check, you couldn't really prevent it. It's a community election and there is no authority above that steps in. So if you see something, you would have to convince the community not vote for
So
the guy.
yeah. So I know, and I wish, and I know there's some people out there that probably are more educated on this, but and I know in our democracy, even though it's a joke and it's supposed to be community choice, but we still have certain standards that need to be met, like as far as like age and where you're born. And I know that I've
Yeah,
seen some for the OIG, like speaking English, which I don't know that one. I get it, but
it's
we
important.
yeah, it is definitely
It's
important. It's, it's important. I just know what we used to tout that, like, our premium service
yeah.
that we'd be like, "We speak English," and then they were like then everybody got all woke, and we're like, "This is super racist. We can't say this." And, it kinda just reminds me of that, but it's not a big deal. Like, it's understandable. English is probably, the most understood and widely spoken language,
Yeah,
obviously
especially in
most
tech. Everything is
right,
English in
right.
tech. So
No, they do not. I was just naming what they call it. It is totally not that. Okay, and so, y'all saw the trouble in EOS, and then who came together to form the OIG? How did that come?
the OIG was designed and put in place by Wax. So the does it ever stop? So the Wax team came together and picked three guilds that and tasked them with forming the OIG, building the
Which were
initial framework.
were I could probably guess them. It was Atomic, or Pink GG was one.
Nope.
What?
I'm not sure if they even were a guild back then. I think they
What?
weren't. They weren't. This was before Ping, before Atomic Assets.
No shit. All right,
Yeah.
tell me more. Let me not interrupt then.
So the first three IGs were Josephs from EOS Barcelona, who still is
Oh,
an IG.
okay, yeah, he's the longest tenured one, right?
Yeah, Rob from EOS Detroit and Marlon from Zenblocks. Those were three initial IGs. Marlon was the first to be replaced. So these three built the initial framework. And they were appointed. And they were supposed to only be appointed for like 9 months.
Okay.
But it took a little longer until the election platform was built, the initial framework was built, and then a little later than 9 months, the first election was held. And that happened to be me. So I was the first that was elected. And
Nice.
over this time frame, it also came, it became apparent that 9 months is not really feasible, because this means you would spend more time electing and getting people up to speed with the whole OIG work than them actually being in place. So that's why we then extended the framework from the timeline, the tenure, from 9 to 18 months per election, and then only have an election every 6 months.
Every 6 months.
Yeah, instead of every 3.
The next one, if I'm not mistaken, I saw it running between September and like Halloween or something, right?
Yeah, the next one will be in October, because this one was late. We had a lot of stuff going on. It was supposed to happen in May.
Okay.
But the next one will happen in October. Because we want there to be at least 2 months, ideally 3 months of time for any candidate to free up his schedule. Because you don't know if you win, there should be time for you to clear your schedule, cancel whatever job you have and what projects you have, so you can focus on being an IG, because being an IG is a full-time job.
And what's the expectation there? I know that that was asked of in the Anders interview, especially that I would think that most, if not all, of the candidates are going to have some personal projects that they're deeply invested in. And I know that one of the first times we've spoke, you had mentioned that the election previous to the one that was coming up in January at that time, you said that there weren't any viable candidates, which I believe that.
Previous to which
I
one?
don't know long. Oh, it was so. This was probably like I don't know, like in December, like before the January one. Like we had talked briefly before.
So there was my last election, the January one, in 2021. If I'm not,
Okay.
2021. There was only one candidate
To even oppose
to
running,
even.
right?
No, I didn't want to run. I wanted to take a break, at least 6 months, just go
Right.
away, take some time off. But there was only one candidate, and that was somebody that was more involved with Telos and not really focused on Wax. And he also was a guild candidate. He was maintaining his guild and said he wanted to maintain his guild in a standby position and then task his work to his employees. And this was something I just didn't feel right. And a lot of people came to me and asked me to please run. And yeah, so I couldn't take my time off as I wanted to.
Yeah. So I'll tell you straight up, Kaver, I did not vote for you, but
It's
if
fine. Vote.
if it came down to where my vote actually would like be the difference, like I would 100, like no offense, Anders, either Anders, no offense to either of them, I would move my vote. Well, I shouldn't be able to move my vote, but yeah, I would vote for you. I feel like it's part of the reason why I didn't appear on the ballot. Well, it was one of many
Yeah.
reasons. But replacing you would be detrimental and maybe to the point of like unrecoverable. I feel like
I don't
potentially.
think it's unrecoverable, but there's a lot of stuff I'm actively working on at the moment I would have to hand over. So what I would probably do if I lose is request a lot of funds from Wax Lab to finish the governance stuff I'm working on, like all the smart contracts. So I would essentially be a sidekick to the OIG for a couple more months. But that's because I am deeply invested in Wax on a personal level. This is my baby. I've been here for almost 6 years, and I spent so much time, blood, and sweat that I just can't let go of it. I can't just go away, no matter if I win or not, or if I'm in a G or not.
Right. And I would imagine that there's a pride factor in what, like, nobody likes to lose anything, right? And if you're good at something, you want to stay there. I do feel like as things progress, I don't know what your governance model looks like. I would love to see it. And I know there's people like Alcy who are very knowledgeable just in general, but could provide some like really good feedback and proofreading on things like that. Others too, but I mean, and obviously I'm not an idiot either. I think that it needs some work. I think it's
Yes, it does. It
currently
does.
flawed.
The current governance model is completely fucked.
Yeah, it's bad. Like,
I mean,
yeah,
we have the whole DPoS system, but the DPoS has little to no relevance right now. Because in the end of the day, the Wax team is voting for the OIG proxy, and the OIG proxy through this is then appointing the guilds. And the original concept of the OIG was actually different. The OIG was not supposed to dictate the guilds that run the chain, but it was supposed to give guidance to the voters. So when the first report came out and the Wax team just enforced it, I was pretty confused, to be honest, because I understood the OIG in a total different capacity. So
yeah,
this is something where I want to get back behind. So on one thing, I want to actually give the OIG sort of the authority it has now, because right now
right.
the authority does not have any actual official authority, even though it technically does. So we need to refactor the system that there is entities that have authority, and it needs to be refactored that votes of the users on chain actually matter again if they vote for the guilds.
Yeah. So
What is this fucking bullshit with
joint
bribes
so
of the OIGs?
right. So I don't know.
You can't bribe an IG. You can bribe one
Well,
IG. You would.
you can I would disagree, and I would say everybody has a price for just about everything. But so here's the thing. Making statements like that without data or supporting evidence or really
No, the point is,
it's really just
the point
like,
is, you could try to bribe an IG. So even if you find a way to bribe an IG, you would essentially need to either bribe one that is very, very convincing and then convinces the other two to do whatever he wants. This is
which would be you.
complicated.
Let's be honest. We're talking about you, so it would
Yeah.
be getting to you.
Let's hypothetically say we find a guild bribes me for whatever reason. Then I would need to convince the others to
Right.
try to implement a change for whatever that would benefit only one specific guild, probably, because otherwise it would not make sense to bribe an IG. And
Right.
then this would need to pass the public vote, because everything we do is out in public. Every score we give is out in
Wait a
public.
minute, though. Yeah, you're right. It is, but let's just be clear here. There's I think 35 active or so, 35-ish
We have
active CPs,
35
right?
guild candidates right now.
And of 21 of those 21 become the block
Top
producers.
21, yes.
So and then like bro, dude, I've seen like the bottom 10 and they're not even trying. So we're only talking about like 25. Like there's
No,
probably 4 people.
there is some. Yeah, maybe it's 25, 25, 26,
Like
27,
I've seen it.
somewhere around that mark.
It's
Yeah,
very
it's
small, and there needs to be more competition there, um, to
the
get
competition.
those
There
others
is
to either
fierce
drop
competition.
or to I'm glad to see that Taco stepped in. I'm glad to see that Alcor has put an application. Even the EOS Detroit and Waxdown merger, which I'd like to talk a little bit about.
Yeah, but that didn't happen. So Waxdow
Would-
is Waxdow is running alone. Waxdow is Waxdow. They didn't
Interesting.
merge with EOS Detroit. Waxdow has his own guild. There's no merger there. There was a merger between Wax
Interesting.
Stash and Wizards. That was a merger.
Yeah, yeah.
There was
Uh,
a merger, but
that's
Waxdow is
interesting.
not a merger with Detroit. I know they talked, but there was no merger. But Mike did talk to multiple guilds and then decided to do his own thing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So
We can just leave it at that because I mean that's one of those things that you're not going to be able to hide that one very long. So, but you know what I mean? Like IP addresses are IP addresses, right? So it'll yeah. If you're saying that, I believe it. I got nothing to say otherwise. I know just what I've been told. I haven't talked to Mike directly at all, so there's nothing that I know
I
that.
talked to Mike and I happened to meet
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
someone from OVH who Mike is renting his servers with.
Nice.
So I just ran him into him at a conference
Excellent.
2 weeks
Excellent.
ago. So I
Excellent.
know Mike is renting his own servers, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Jaws and I could probably sell them cheaper, but it's all
but
good.
yeah,
Shameless plug. Just kidding.
but
All
yeah.
right.
In the end, you can't really, you can try, you could try to bribe an IG, but you can't really do it hidden while it still has an impact. Because as soon as it has an impact, people would question the decision.
Right. I'm not
And
so much concerned. I've never been concerned about bribery because that's not where I would find the most prone fault to come from, right? Like if I'm gonna bribe somebody, it's gonna be for some serious shit, and it's gonna be for a
yeah,
lot of money, and it's gonna be you either take this or I'm gonna you know take even more drastic. It's not going to be because I want to make top 21. So that's a bit drastic. What I have a bigger concern with is the subjectivity in which uh, implicit bias, which it's important to know that implicit bias is the one that you don't even realize that you have. Like, let's say, like lots of Americans have implicit bias towards blacks, right?
yeah, of course.
There's people that have never met a black person in their life, and all they've seen is the media coverage that
Yeah,
has communicated to them that they're dangerous, violent animals, and they might not be racist, but you know what? Like when they when that white lady walks past a black guy the implicit bias would say, cover up your purse or something like, and it's
yeah,
those types
sure,
of
sure.
things that people have and they don't even realize it. And
Yeah,
when you have such a long tenure and you've obviously built very strong community bonds and rapport, um, I find it like almost impossible that it's not somehow affecting. I mean, I'm not accusing you of impropriety. I'm just saying, like, I would find it unreasonable to state that it doesn't affect how you score things in certain ways. Um, I
let's
just
say it like this.
I know that I just because I would speak for myself, I know I wouldn't be able to help myself. Like I've told people, I'm super biased, and
Yeah,
because I just know it about myself, and
yeah. I know my biases too, and I know which guys I like and which I don't. And this is sure, but this is why we have three IGs. We are all humans. We all have our biases,
right,
and whenever I feel like I might be making this decision based on a bias, I always ask everybody else, am I biased here, or is this really crap, or is this really good? Because that's just how it has to be.
okay,
And one example is something that happened with a guild I was never really fond of, and
yeah,
they fucked up.
okay,
And I actually stepped in and brought their penalty down and ensured they would be treated fairly. And even after they attacked me in public, insulted me on a personal level, insulted my intelligence, I still stood in for them to not be penalized as hard as the other IGs wanted, because I didn't consider it fair, even with my bias.
Right.
So I value my integrity over everything.
Integrity is yes, that would actually be the anti bias. If you're aware that it's
And
the
that's why I put everything I do, I put out and let the people judge. And that's why we have the appeal period of 4 days where everybody can judge our scoring, our decisions, and speak up if they don't like it.
so let me
And
ask
we
you
have,
this.
yeah.
Speaking of those, and I should know this and I don't. Is there open-ended review content? Like, do you have? Is it just check boxes, or do you actually have to write like a paragraph at the end of each BP review? I don't remember ever seeing it, but I can't say for certain that there is or there isn't. Or is it
So
just all just numbers and check boxes?
it's mostly numbers and checkboxes. So we take notes. So we have this sheet, the guild overview. You can see it on Notion. So each guild has their score sheet, and they have a new score sheet for every evaluation. And then they get the scoring, they get the evaluation points, and these are based on the stuff they submit. And
Yeah, I should
then
have
we
this.
have the public appeals on GitHub. So everything is done in public on GitHub, where you can see what did you can't see what we scored on GitHub, but people can complain on GitHub about how we scored, and then we will respond publicly and openly about what happened and why we made the decision we made. So that's
Proton
all up
has it.
public.
Proton has atomic acids.
Everybody has atomic acids because atomic acids rocks.
um,
Yeah,
what's
actually, Ultra doesn't, but that's Ultra's fault.
what's the OIG GitHub name? I should have this, or do you have the link?
Wax OIG.
Okay.
I think it's Office of Inspector, Wax Office of Inspector General. I don't know for sure. I always have to Google it. So if I'm in my own account, I just click it,
So I
and
can't
otherwise I
believe
have to
it's
Google
not
it.
in my history. Might be in
But
my.
I'm not at my desk, so I don't have the history here.
Oh,
Just Google GitHub Wax OIG, or go to oig.wax.io. I think it should be linked there. Oh, there it is. You got it.
yeah.
Yeah, Wax Office of Inspector General. It's fully written out.
All right, and so let me go ahead and Alcy to the rescue. Thank you, dear.
Yeah.
You're the best.
If you go to report submission, if you scroll up, you see the reports, and the reports can have all reports that were previously submitted by guilds. So you can go for every guild and check what did they submit when, and this is what we score based on.
All right, so this is the most recent one here. It looks like.
Yeah.
And so tell me what I'm not familiar with Keybase. I think I Googled it once. I have a rough idea.
Keybase is a messaging system that is more secure, and yeah, it's essentially more secure than Telegram.
Gotcha.
It's just a messaging system we use internally for the guild communications and for the OIG communications. So you essentially have a server like in Discord, and then you can create a lot of chats inside of this one group. And the OIG has essentially an internal OIG server with with one channel for every guild. So we discuss internally every evaluation of every guild is discussed in calls and taking notes in our internal keybase, so that we can always reproduce how we came to the decisions we made and see the it's more it's encrypted. Telegram is just plain open. There is no encryption in Telegram whatsoever, and keybase has encrypted channels, encrypted group chats. That's all stuff you don't have on Telegram.
Jointy, I got your other question starred. I'll throw that one up there though, since it's shorter. Why does that have to be scrutinized? Is it not public? I thought maybe it was half and half.
Some stuff is our public stuff is on Notion.
Okay, so Keybase is private completely.
It's completely private. It's just for our notes.
Right. So those notes are important though.
Yeah, it's important for us. It's not important really for the public.
I disagree with that.
No, that's the important
because
part
that's
is
that contradicts everything that you just like.
essentially
It's
no
more than
everything we write in Keybase is on the guild reports. It's just not sorted. It's our thought, it's our notes. It's just how we work, how we schedule ourselves, how everything.
right, and I get
So
that. But so here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for uh um I'll just be up for like handwriting and handwriting analysis or just grammatical the way that people communicate when they write. It would be very evident to me, especially if I had a large sample size. In fact, I guarantee you AI would be able to knock it out in a second. Now, I'm not saying that things aren't getting done. I have a feeling that some people are pulling more weight than others, and like, if that's the case, like, that shouldn't stay within that little group because
no, that's
for
not
whatever reason.
how the problem with us is that Joseph is not that proficient in English. So I'm the most proficient in English, so I do most of the public communication. This does not mean that I do the majority of the work and everything. It's just that if it comes to writing content, talking to people, making
Sure, sure,
announcement,
sure, sure.
it's either me writing it or me editing it and then releasing it. That also comes down to people going earlier to bed than I do. So I usually start my workday in the late afternoon to evening so the others can prepare shit and then I just finalize it and can release it. This does not mean that I do the lion's share of the work. It's just how it's most efficient in terms of quality.
Got you. Um, okay, so just not to beat a dead horse, there would be no way for me to, if I wanted to compare, uh, writing styles or really just read what notes were in fact taken because I feel like uh, um, how verbose
Also,
notes
all
are very telling of like yeah they were fucking rushed and like this was either just poorly done in the last second or like wow they really took their time and really put an
it
effort forth into this and I like
should
this.
not matter how it's done if the outcome is correct, I would say. It doesn't matter if it was done quick or if it took a lot of time.
Have you ever
What
seen
matters is what you get on the outcome. And this is what people see, what people can comment on and question us on. I think that is what should matter. It should matter what we deliver, not how we deliver it. Or
to some
how we
extent
come to the end.
to some extent yeah have you ever seen Nifty blocks or 3DK renders monthly? Of course you have, right? And
Yeah, of
and
course I have.
and compared to oh I don't know lots of other ones that
Yeah,
are
we have a lot of
fucking
crappy
trash. Like,
submissions.
I mean, yeah, so like that makes a difference to me as a consumer and a community member.
Of
It
course.
tells me who cares about their project, right? Who's invested in their project, and so I want to know the
There
same about who's invested
is
in their
yeah,
job.
but there is more to that. There's also more to that because it also means they have staff that is good at this, has the time to do it. You have guilds that only consist of like people that are good at developing stuff. So
Yeah,
they have lacking report submissions because they have nobody that has the capacity or time or is good at doing these reports. Being good at reports does not mean being good at contributing value.
yeah.
So usually it does align, but not always. We have good guilds that do subpar submissions, like Pink. Pink has done a lot of crap submissions, but this is because they have more important work to do, and lots of it.
And yeah, we won't touch that one. I'll always have something negative to say, but I'm going to refrain because we shouldn't be picking on marketplaces anymore. I'm going to stop. Hey, looks like Giuseppe's going to be out of there. Is he the next one up for for election?
Yeah,
No.
Joseph is the next one up for election in
All
February.
right, all right.
Yeah,
So hey,
this is actually something that was put in because we need to emphasize this more. It's fine. Joseph can articulate himself. He can work,
yeah, I was just kidding.
but we always just need to ensure that people are able to
Right,
communicate
right.
properly.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, I'm gonna take a quick break and get a grub fish run and get myself set up on some things. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna try to also read these questions I got piling up.
Yeah.
Because there's
Joseph does a lot of work in the back end. He is
yeah,
our most proficient guy when it comes to the actual infrastructure technology because he has been a guild. He knows how the stuff is run. He knows how it's operated. He is the best one who can do the tech tests and stuff. So Joseph is a very, very important part of the OIG team, even though he's not as public. And so is Yanis.
yeah. Let me ask you this: is Alcie's joke here actually a joke, or is this something that would be permissible? Like, I'm dead serious. Like,
Yeah,
if you wanted, if somebody wanted to write, like, summarize, if they knew the project well enough to write this summary of what was going on. Like, for example, I know that I believe Zuler is technically part of the Alcor team, but like
yeah,
if like he's probably going to be writing that, and he's gonna be killing it, right? And
yeah.
let's say that he knows another
Guilds can
project.
hire whoever
Yeah.
they want to write the reports. We had already the situation where one guy was writing the reports for two guilds because he was hired by two guilds to do it, and he did a good job.
All right, Alexi, we there you go. Get at it. She'd be the best in the business. So y'all suck at writing reports. Alcee 221. So exclamation, it's so nostalgic. Turn your bot off, bro. It's not exclamation play. You got to pay attention, man. Exclamation Kafer, followed by your wallet address. And this is the best one here. I'll turn this one up.
Now I have to do it on Twitch, right?
Yeah. And hey,
Amazing.
if y'all didn't notice, I tried to give you a little context clues. Tune 2K, and I think Dre, who did it wrong, was the only one who happened to notice that I created the Get Wax and the Set Wax, and there's also a Send NFT that's working. And I was making one special, and it was going to be like a one-time thing for the stream. And I told Kiefer that I was trying to bang it out in 5 minutes. And I don't think I did. I don't think I did. I'm gonna try it though. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's thinking. I don't think it's gonna give it to me though. Oh, did I spell it right? Yeah, I sure did. Yeah, damn it. Hold on. Wait. Oh shit. I didn't start my server. Hold on. All right. While that fires up. So we got a bunch from Jointy. I'm going to see if I can't combine these down into one. So just talking about the reason why Wax votes with their 500 million or whatever. There's a reason for it, and it looks shady as hell, especially if you look at all of the EOSIO chains. All of the other ones have a very predictable and consistent decline from 1 to like 50, and Wax goes from 1 to 21, and then it's a cliff straight down, like by a lot, and then it's consistent. Like, so it goes from like, I don't know, like 200 million down to like 20K. Like, that's the kind of like
What do you
drop.
mean?
That's an
Sorry.
exaggeration. Well, if you were to like look at the voting,
Oh, yeah. Okay, the voting you mean? Yeah, that's because
Yeah,
of because Wax is voting
right,
with their
right, right.
funds. They use the
Yeah.
market development to market development fund to ensure the stability of the ecosystem. I think that's fine, because we want to have we have right now the most efficient EOSIO based chain, Antelope chain, actually anywhere out there. We are like 30% faster in average than EOS. I don't know how much faster we are than Telos. I haven't checked Telos in a while, but I'm pretty sure we are probably also faster than Telos. And that is something that would not work if the evaluation of the
All right.
OIG was not enforced.
Yeah, I'm good you're talking about this. I got some technical questions to ask you here in a bit
Let me
too.
check,
So
because I'm curious about this. Let me
that's
check.
classic. It was 800. It's 800 million down, but still it's significant, right? So it goes from 20. It's cut by nearly a fourth. And if you were to look at any other EOS chain and
Yeah,
see,
because they don't have an IG system.
right? Yeah. So
They
like
don't
this
have
is
this. So
123 to 119,
yeah,
114. And you would see the same thing across Proton and all of the others. It would
yeah,
be
because they
very
don't have this
consistent.
system.
Right, right, right,
That's why it's consistent. We just have this huge
right.
gap because of how the system is built, and it's by intention. It's by design. So,
Yeah,
but I still think we can do better, and we need to do better, and this system needs to be overhauled, because we need to come to a stage where the WAX team does not have to enforce the governance anymore, because the governance enforces itself.
so I can answer this one from Samsky because it's the bear market, bro, and people that been here since 2020 or earlier are cranky that they're not bringing in 5 grand a day anymore, and a lot of them probably thought that like that was going to last forever, and maybe even made poor choices like leaving their jobs or buying expensive depreciating assets, and people are just get cranky when there's not a whole lot of money floating around, like there was. And if you've looked at the marketplace activity in comparison, it's like a fraction of what it was. And there's just not a whole lot going on. And when that happens, it's just it's a breeding pool for negativity, man. And negativity begets
Yeah.
negativity, and I'm guilty of it myself. You know, and it's human nature, right? We got to do our best
Um,
to do better.
there's one question I want to answer exactly. Uh, No, that wasn't the one I wanted to answer. I wanted to answer his other question about why we evaluate and score products that make profit. Because one of the most important metrics in the WAX evaluations, aside of fulfilling the technical requirements, is the contribution to the ecosystem. And one of the metrics of to measure the contribution to the ecosystem is how much they contribute to the DeFi pool that is then paid out to the DeFi participants that stake Wax and Ethereum on ETH in the Uniswap pool. And this is why profit has a big impact on score. Because otherwise, you could say this guild could just stop being a guild, take their profit, and Wax will lose. So we had times where I think Nifty Blocks was creating and donating more profit than what they were paid for being an IG. And they could at any point have just decided we pocket all the fees ourselves and do not forward them. They would have made significantly more money than by being a guild. And that's why we should reward them accordingly for the contribution they make. And that's why profit is an important aspect and metric.
Yeah. I I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings about Wax Inc. And I think one of the next subjects that I was going to go into was decentralization. But let's just knock the rest of these questions out here so we can get moving there. Uh, I think what about the fact that BP should be innovative? They just copy each other, make irrelevant products to stay BP. I wouldn't disagree that there's a lot of shit that they're doing, but I wouldn't necessarily call it like useless. I don't know. They're not doing their best, and
If guilds just copy the ideas of other guilds, um, and don't do it better. So we need to have to improve on what others have built. So, for example, 3DK Render were the first one that released a public blending contract.
Which is ridiculous.
So,
And
but they
Ryu is
never.
like the first person to release a drop. Like that's how I don't understand that, Kate. Please help me understand why IP and protecting your bottom line is more important than the basic building blocks of Web3 on your chain. That makes no sense to me. And I
Yeah.
plan on breaking it. Like I do. I plan on breaking it as much as I possibly can.
What do you mean by protecting your IP? I mean, 3DK Render were the first to build a public accessible.
Right. And then they released it, and then Nefty like literally just used it. Like they built a UI because I remember reading a Marcos
3DK Render had no UI for it.
Yeah, he's like, sorry, I couldn't get to the UI, and then Nefty. And, eventually they went and they did their own version of it. But like I was on GitHub, so I'm not a smart contract developer at all. In fact, I for the most part despise backend. I can do some of it, but it's gonna I know enough about it to get like basic shit done. But I know that I was on GitHub trying to find a drop contract, and I used every combination of search query, and there was nothing. And one of our community members had to be the one to post it. And like I understand that there's the atomic acids, but it's like I don't know, man. Like, do you know what I mean when it feels like everybody is more worried about having the important thing that people need for their project, keeping it to themselves so they can make money, rather than like these decentralized open source like fantasy world that we were all led to believe we were walking into. Like it feels just very more cutthroat and
yeah, well, that's the point. We always need to find a balance between competition and collaboration. The problem is all guilds are competing against other. There is a lot of competition for the top 21 spots.
right.
And there might be more if we start to weigh the pay within the top 21. So
Right.
we need to find a balance where we still have the collaboration. And I think the change we have with the increased standby pay did a lot of good to get guilds to collaborate.
Right.
Because previously, if you dropped out of top 21, you were fucked. You would get not even half the pay just because of like 1 point.
Right.
So that definitely was broken. And it's now better.
Yeah.
I don't know if you looked into how the standby pay now works.
No, I don't. I don't even know what it is, but I heard that
Okay.
it was what is it? Is it like 3/4?
What?
How much is it? Yeah, of what the other guys get?
No, actually, I built a system that pays the standbys based on their score. So previously, the standbys would get a little less than half of what top 21 got.
Oh, okay.
So this then changed. We increased the standby pay significantly. We reduced the number of standby seats from 36 to 24. This gave it a bump. Then we readjusted the inflation that is paid out allocated to standby pay. This increased a bit, and then we implemented a weighted pay. So what happens now is that you have the top 21. The top 21 get paid the fixed amount, the fixed allocation. And then you have the threshold, the point threshold. Right now, to be a guild that is paid, you need to have 120 points. Now, let's assume the guy in slot 21 has 200 points. The closer you are to these 200 points, the more you are paid. Up to a maximum of 85% of what a top 21 is paid.
Nice.
And down to about 50%.
Very
interesting. And this scales with the points.
So why do Detroit Ledger Technology get points for facing? It has no. This is my favorite one. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, I tend to disagree with that. Most of the projects in Notion of BPs don't deserve points. That's why they have points. And
I
facing is, yeah.
probably been graded a lot of them as high as I've seen them graded, and I feel like it's I don't know. I hate to say that. Like, how do y'all even know what's going on with like how do you keep up with it with all of that? Like, I know that I can't keep up with all of it. So, are you just basing your opinion? How are all of the IGs like? How are they basing their making their judgments on these projects that they likely have never interacted with the contracts or even been on the websites? Maybe they're just reading the report.
No, you have to engage with the products to evaluate them. So we watch videos, we talk to the people, we play the games. We have to, to some extent, engage with everything. That's why we take 10 days for these evaluations.
And there's 21 to do in 10 days, split between 3
No,
people?
it's 35.
Oh,
35
that's right, yeah.
guilds to evaluate in
Right,
10
right, right.
days. And no, it's not split across 3 people because everybody essentially has to evaluate everything.
Interesting.
Because if it's just one, it would just be one, and we would have the bias problem. So everybody
If they
has
were
to.
randomized, I hear what you're saying. Y'all need more IGs. That's too much work. That's 3 a day. That's too much work.
So it's just
And an
how this.
8-hour day that I don't feel like that.
It's a
Alex,
full
what do you
time.
think?
It's a
That's
full
that's
time job,
right, but there's labor laws and
and not every guild has the same amount of stuff. So some are faster, some take longer, some have more complicated products, more complicated projects. So, and that's why we also outside. So we also do our evaluations outside of the evaluation timeframe. We look at projects outside of the
yeah,
evaluation timeframes. Guilds have calls with us where they present their projects. So usually, if a guild has a new project, they have to get on a call with us, present their project, so we get an idea of what they're doing. So we have first impression, and then during the evaluation timeframe, we see what have they actually delivered, and then we check the product. And then usually if something is new, we still get together and have a call on every major change, on every initial scoring, on everything. So it just can't be one IG that makes a decision on one single thing. Just that's why we have 3 IGs, and they need to.
right. I thought y'all split them up just randomly.
No, we do this. We split them up for the initial evaluation. So there is a randomization, and 3 people, and the initial evaluation is done randomly distributed on the IGs. But then the others do the peer reviews.
Right. Right. Interesting.
And then we come together and discuss everything that needs to be discussed. That's why we take the notes in Notion, so we can easily more easily can catch up with what the others did and said and thought when they gave the scoring they did. Because we have to do this a bit asynchronized because we have different schedules. We have not much of a different time zones right now, but we used to have different time zones. So yeah, that's just how it works.
So I know there was a suggestion made not only for the, like I just said, additional. Like I honestly I feel like that's even if it's only once a month, I feel like that you're not going to get your best work at it. Like I think you need one more, especially like with the bus stop or like or somebody's sick or whatever. It's just a bit too much. You're gonna somebody's gonna get screwed over in a particular month with those constraints. I feel like there
Oh
needs
yeah,
at least to be. I mean, I would say probably 2 more to keep it odd.
it
And
doesn't work. It doesn't work because if we have more guilds and more IGs, it also means more work because you have to align and not align, but you have to talk with more IGs and decide on stuff and everything. So it makes the whole work more complicated. I think right now 3 is a good number.
potentially,
What I think and always said is that each seat should not be occupied by one person, but essentially by one team.
yeah. I know.
And this is where the OIG definitely is headed at some point, because we will get to a point where the workload cannot be handled by one person. This will definitely happen. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't think Yanis and Raketen have somebody, but I actually have an assistant who is supporting me with tech evaluations, for example.
Yeah, the tech evaluations, they're pretty cut and dry though. I
Yeah,
got this
because they're pretty straightforward. It's grunt work
yeah.
that to some extent is not that complicated. So I let him do the pre-evaluation, and then I go through it again. But this saves me about 1, 2, 3 hours every evaluation. Just having an assistant who can
Right, right.
prepare stuff for me.
And so how often do you I was gonna ask a question about like, I would imagine that y'all probably don't have training materials for incoming or onboarding materials for incoming OIGs because it's been so niche and unnecessary in the past. But as things grow, um, I think at this point, like you kind of do need it, right? If things are going to change, unless the same three are going to miraculously keep winning every election, somebody new is going to come in, and they might not have had any experience doing the day-to-day job, right? And that's where the those tools and resources would become invaluable. Is that something that you've thought about?
If you check the Notion, there actually is an OIG, an IG onboarding guide that
Nice.
has some initial information, but it's not that much. It's partly outdated because most of the stuff now has moved onto GitHub. It's more public. We have way more tools. So in the past, what we did with all IGs, myself included, was that we did initial evaluations as a group. So I would do my first evaluation. I participate in my first evaluation before becoming an IG. And then for the first evaluations, I would sit together with another AG on the call, and we would do all evaluations together. So just that I could get into
Gotcha.
how the system process works. So we do onboarding of IGs, and that's one of the reasons why the whole time frame, the tenure, was extended to 18 months, because you need like 3 months or so until you're
Right.
really in the material and can do it everything on your own.
Right.
Some
Right.
are
Right.
faster, some are slower, but it just takes some time. And yeah, a lot of us is somewhere written down. It's in the guidelines. We have the tools that are great. Validation Core, LedgerWise, Sentinel. They have great tools we can use and do and have to use.
Excellent. All right. I want to ask you a question about what is your definition of decentralization?
Decentralization means that power is decentralized, that not one entity can control and rule over the ecosystem. So there should not be a single point of failure in a single point of authority.
Even if that single point of authority is more than a single entity, it would still render it not decentralized, correct? Like, let's say, like we're not just talking about Trent has all of the power and can turn the lights, turn all of the lights off. But him and three of his friends, between the three of them, they each hold a key, and if they all put the key in the same time, then like that would still be the same thing, regardless. It's still not decentralized. Would you agree?
To some extent, yes. I
Why would
think
you?
Anders brought up the bus count, so the bus count
Right.
should be higher than one.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
I agree there.
there is different levels of decentralization, and you always need to weigh between how much decentralization is needed and how much decentralization is viable. You
I
always
don't think any is viable,
it's
to be
always about
honest.
balance. It's
Yeah,
always about balance.
I think
I
a
mean,
DAO is made for it.
look at Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin, last time I checked, was decentralized. It had 5 pools,
Right.
and two of these pools would have mining power that is greater than 50% of the chain. And they could collaborate and just take over the chain until the miners decide to leave and switch pools or whatever. But the question is, what is decentralization? And what do you want to achieve with it? And I think decentralization is if the level of decentralization achieves whatever you want to achieve.
Gotcha. I can't believe I forget how to start a slideshow. Is it like F12 for PowerPoint? That's not it. F10. How do you start a slideshow? Can't believe it's been so long. I can't remember how to do it. Somebody quick, how do you F4?
Alt F4, yeah.
Get out of here. It ain't that one. Hold on. It's one. It's got to be one of these little guys down here. There it is. Okay. But now that took over everything. So maybe if I bring it over here and do it, does that work? No, it doesn't. All right. So y'all are probably not going to get full screen because I can't. But okay. So and I genuinely don't know the answer to this. But
Okay.
what is this key and what can it do?
Everything.
You know,
It's
so
part of the 4-account multisig that controls the entire wax chain. It's admin 1 to admin 4 of wax.wax that are controlled by different entities, different people within the wax company. It's the CFO, it's the CTO, it's the lead blockchain developer, and I think one of the founders. I'm not entirely sure.
do they all have the same permissions? Do they are is it everything is it all multi-sig and
It's
not
all multi-sig. You always need
everything always needs all three others?
yes, 4 people. Everything needs to be signed by 4 keys. If I'm not mistaken, you can scroll down and look at the keys tab on, for example, go to Eosio. That's the most important thing. Go to Eosio on, oh yeah, it's just a screenshot. You can't.
Yeah.
So if you go to waxblog.io and go to Eosio, you can check the keys and it will tell you, probably, if I recall correctly, there's 4 keys, 4 admin keys, and it has a weight vote of 4 or something. Keys? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And okay, you have admin wax, and then you need to click admin wax.
Right. So here, right. So there's that one, and then there should be 4 of these under keys. And
okay, 1, 2, 3.
so
it's 1, 2, 3 on owner, and it's 1, 2, 3 for it's 4 on active. And you need to, for active, you only need to have a weight of 2. So you always need 2 of these keys, not 4 or 3. My bad.
Yeah. I don't.
So the bus counted 3.
Yeah. So so I don't know the answer to this either. Comparatively to other chains, is this something that like is Vitalik walking around with 1/3 of ETH's keys?
No, but it's an entirely different governance model.
Right. I understand.
No, but what you are getting to is, if you look at EOS, for example, then you will see that the control of EOS is probably Eosio prots, something that hopefully will happen at some point on Wax 2.
Say that again.
There is an account that's called Eosio prots, and Eosio prots has a dynamic key structure. Now, if you just look on, okay, yeah, you can also look on EOS. If you check the EOS account here, Eosio, I think it's controlled by Eosio prots. Yeah, and that's Eosio prots. And this also exists on Wax, but it's right now not in control of the Eosio account. And it's something I hope will happen at some point. It means that the guilds are actually in control of the chain. Right now, it's a corporate chain. The production is decentralized, but the control of the chain itself is not.
Yeah.
So I know this is something that is supposed to change, is what's supposed to change a while ago, but they are not done yet because we are reworking the tokenomics and all sorts of other things. And as long as they have these keys, it makes things easier because they have control and can exert control to update the chain, upgrade the chain, and do all sorts of things without being required to align with everybody else.
The only reason why I bring it up is I just, I in general, I don't believe that in DAOs. I think a DAO is a fantasy. The word decentralized and autonomous cannot like right now that's impossible. Like that's round peg square hole. I think with AI we'll get there, and AI will be the top of the hierarchy. But something like you need a hierarchy. You have to have a hierarchy. Somebody has to be at the top saying like you're not allowed to draw a dick picture on every single thing, and you know what I mean? Because that's all the metaverse is ending
That's what
up
I
being.
mean, where you have to find the balance between decentralization and viability.
Yeah,
Because if you're too decentralized, you will have a trouble making decisions and everything will stall. That's what we've seen with Ethereum, that it takes
right.
forever until decisions are made because of too much decentralization, and too much decentralization can become toxic. So you always have to have a breeding period until a project has reached a level of maturity that it can function in a decentralized manner. And that's why Wax is still on a system level centralized, and only the guild structure and the production structure is decentralized.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think that Wax is one of the least decentralized chains. And did you know? And it's through no, like it's not malicious, but like right now, if you were to have went and claimed, and I know this, and Chris, if you're still listening, he can vouch for this. Uh, if you were to have claimed a name bid and you did it with your WAM instead of an anchor, which it looks like uh, there's going to be this guy here,
Yeah.
Lannister. He's not going to be able to do this. It's
Oh,
going to be
you're right. Because yeah, I know.
because so you go here, it's going to tell you to fuck off, right?
Yeah,
Now
I
there's a
know.
workaround here. You can get you get a browser add-on and you can inject your own packages, but like that's getting pretty technical. Um, there's nothing here at all for it. And
Yeah,
then
wait,
if
it's there. It's there. What do you mean? Namebits is
Wax
also on Wax block.
Waxblock has nothing like they don't want you creating. They want you to go to Cloud Wallet. They
No,
don't
go down. There's Namebits. Or what do you mean? Oh, you mean
or
there's no?
claiming.
Yeah, there's no account creation yet. You can do it on the contract itself. If you go to Yosio, you could create your own
Right,
accounts. You
right.
can do it from the cloud. This is actually a feature that is on the to-do list of the team doing this. There was
It's
have already been complaints that it's
right,
missing.
right, right.
It's definitely coming.
And I made a comment on it just to Zuler, and it was sarcastic. And like, I honestly should stay off Twitter because like half of the things I say is sarcastic humor, and y'all just aren't catching it. A lot of it is aggressive, but it's a lot of sarcastic humor too. And I was just saying that it was odd that they had, no, here it is. Um, way to create a wallet like the number
Yeah.
one custodial wallet doesn't want you creating
No,
non-custodial.
but you
And he's like,
can
you
do
can
it.
do it here, but he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, but you can't because the validation here is fucked up. Like it was Chris V, I think, and we had it in, and it will not let you advance because this validation is like on
Oh, the
blocks.
validation is fucked
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
Oh, so
yeah, yeah.
even
He needs to turn it off so that like it just
Oh
needs to
yeah, that is stupid. No, but you can do it
technically,
on
yes.
Wax block. If you go to Wax block, you type in Eosio top right, you
Oh,
open
right,
the
right, right.
Eosio is kind.
Yeah, man, I
It,
wrote a script and it was in less time than it took me to look like we went to EOS Authority
yeah,
next.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
it should also work on EOS Authority.
I didn't there either, man, and they have some
What
stupid
happens on EOS? What happens if you do
it
it on EOS
fails with
Authority?
it fails with, I forget the message, but so they want you to combine your keys, which is weird.
Combine the keys?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that, but, it asks and maybe we were doing it wrong. Yeah, we why is my internet crawling all of a sudden?
I've
So,
created tons of accounts, but never using the cloud wallet actually. Always
right,
use Anchor
which they have
for
a lot
that
of
stuff.
amazing tools on this site. This site is, like,
Yeah.
really badass, um, but the one thing that I found th oh, no, so this but does have both. Maybe
Yeah.
did we not look here?
You can. You have to scroll up. There is a second tab, and then you can say create account in complex and simple.
Yeah, I swear that you got an image. I swear that there was. I can't click that. Hold on a second.
Oh, let me
Maybe
show
we
you.
were on the wrong chain and I never noticed.
I can't tell you.
Yeah, this is what we saw here. If you can see that, like it was.
Oh, nice. So this one, the claiming on authority, will put the same owner and active key. But yeah, after putting it, you can just put one
bad
key for owner and active.
though, right?
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because after you put the owner key, you can just use the owner
Right.
key to change the active key.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you just do it with one. But you can also just use the create account. You don't have to claim the account. You can just create it. That's how I did it with the ones I bought when I won the name bits. I just used the create feature of the account, and if I use the account I voted and won the name bit with, I can just create the account using the create account feature. New account, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, I just I have a script of that. Is for the most
New
part.
account is bottom
play.
right, mid right, up, and right, up, left.
Which one is it? It's what's the
That
name?
new account.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there it is.
that's one. That's the function you need to call.
Yep.
The creator name,
This
owner,
was
and active key.
nightmare, man. Like
That's all you need.
figuring out the oh my god, like this.
Yeah, but you also need to pay the RAM and stake the
Right. Figuring out the
staked.
JSON or whatever stupid map
Yeah.
object that it needed.
I
here.
know.
That's like a good.
I wrote a smart contract to create accounts, and it would take in the string of a public key, and there's 3 different formats, and then I had to write a smart contract that was able to interpret the strings and build public key objects out of them. So then the smart contract could create accounts. That was a pain.
Yeah, no doubt. I bet it was, man. When I don't think I know anything about your dev history. Tell me briefly what that. I mean, I'm guessing you've been coding for a long time.
Yes, about almost 30 years. I wrote I grew up in the IT sphere. So my father was one of the first hackers essentially in Germany. So there was
hackers or techers. What did you say?
Hackers, tackers. Back then it was one and the same. So they would build their computers from scratch. And so I had my first contact with computers when I was like 4 years old, so early in the 80s. And then I wrote my first line of code at 8, and have then been messing with computer games and stuff, modding games, writing scripts and stuff for games I liked, and then did apprenticeship doing microcontroller development and tools development.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and essentially I've always been a coder in the IT space.
Yeah.
Until I was a developer, professional developer, until I was 29. And then I decided, fuck it all, it's too boring, because it's just, if you do the same over and over again at the same jobs, you are stuck in one sector. And I was working in the business intelligence project stuff. So I was only building tools and project management stuff and business intelligence and enterprise resource planning stuff. So I said, scrap it, and decided what is the most complicated thing I can imagine. So I started to get a degree in mathematics and physics. Then ended up teaching computational mathematics at my university as a tutor. Then eventually ended up in blockchain, 2017.
Excellent. All right, we're about to get into the spicy section of this interview now, man. Are you ready for this?
Sure. Hasn't it been spicy?
Yeah, we haven't. It's gonna get spicy though. I'm just kidding. It's gonna be all right. So plutocracy is defined in the bottom left hand, and that's defined as a country or society governed by the wealthy. Is wax governance and its current model a plutocracy?
Yes, of course. It's a delegated proof of stake system. A delegated proof of stake means you vote with your stake. This means the people that have the most to lose are in charge of what happens. That's the definition of delegated proof of stake.
Yeah, and I guess.
Okay, the one guy, the one wallet there, the
Uh-huh.
WXPGEVUZVO35 is actually excluded from the OIG election because this is, I think, Warby or BitHub.
Yeah. Do you know this wallet here, this FS35Y?
I know the wallet and I know the person behind the wallet.
Yeah, I figured so. They voted for you, and I think
They did.
first election,
They did.
and you won by a landslide because of it.
I would have won by a landslide even without him voting. Let's be fair.
Right. So here's just my issue. I mean, plutocracies historically is not the governance model that I feel like anybody should be modeling after, regardless if it's like modern tech or not. It's just it doesn't have the community as a whole is best interests in mind. It's it's very much the state of how things are run here in America. We like to pretend like it's a democracy, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's the 1% versus the 99, right?
Yeah.
And I know that you had said that the BPs, and I felt like that comment was somewhat misleading. Yes, the BPs do only make up 40% of the voting.
Right now, they only have 1% of the vote power.
One,
BPs have 1% of the total vote power in the OIG election.
so where are you getting this number from?
I counted. Just
Well, I
go
mean,
on.
like so. I'm sorry, and I have looked this up over on NEOs. Are you taking the total amount of wax available to vote into that equation?
Yeah, I did take the total amount of wax available to vote into the
So
equation.
that means
So
everything
I,
that's in the exchanges and like so that doesn't make sense to me. Like and I reached out to Wapaka who's building Wax on Edge. He did kind of get back to me, but just couldn't get me. I got to ask him early enough, but I'm like, what I wanted to know was like if I wanted to just go ahead and buy Enders because it's a plutocracy, I could do that. I wanted to go ahead and
yeah,
just buy
sure.
Enders into office. Um, how how much would that affect? Like, what kind of slippage are we talking about here? Like, how much is it going to impact? And I think he said that 300K
No,
wax would move it up.
more.
It's like, well, no, that you would need more than that, but I think he said like buying 300K would move it to like 6 cents or something like that. And so we're talking about like you're talking about an amount it's not feasible. Like you couldn't do
Yes,
it,
you
right? And
couldn't do
so
it.
the to say that the guilds only have 1% is me like saying like we're going to like I don't know a club and I have a grand and you have $50 and the cover's $100 and I tell you like well hey man there's $5 trillion in America like what do you want from me like it doesn't make sense like I you know what I mean like of course I would loan you or pay for obviously.
Yeah, but the point is that the community, if they come together, they have the majority vote, and not by an insignificant margin. They have the absolute authority here.
All right. I don't know what ghost peppers you're talking about. There's no chance in the world that I'm touching a ghost pepper.
So
Question: okay, for EOF set their inflation rate from 5% to 1%, and they burned the
yeah,
tokens that were set aside for essentially their Wax Labs equivalent because they felt it wasn't very effective. How do you feel about Wax doing such a thing, and how do you feel about Wax Labs as a whole?
I think Wax Labs has come has come a long way. So the quality of projects coming in and out has improved, and it's starting to get more widely adopted. But I think it also needs to get an entity that's actually in control and actively maintains it. Right now, this is essentially officially run by the Wax team, and they collaborate with the OIG. So the OIG give recommendations, and then the Wax team decides based on these recommendations and their own aspects and rules. So I think Wax Labs is a great thing and can contribute greatly to the growth of the ecosystem because not everyone that builds for the chain wants to run a guild or maintain a guild because it's a ton of work and costs a lot of time and money, and not everybody has the qualifications. So not every developer can also maintain the infrastructure required to be built. So Wax Labs solved this by still allowing people to build. So that's why I think Wax Labs is great, and we need the funds. And when it comes to the inflation, I think there needs to be an adjustment to the inflation, how it works right now, because we have this 5% and 1% goes into the pot. And there is a rework of the tokenomics that will also address how deflationary and inflationary the chain is at its core. Right now, the only real deflationary mechanic we have is the DeFi funds coming in from NFT sales that are burned. But there will and has to be more deflation to offset what is going into lab savings and into BP Pay. And there's right now also talk about scaling the savings inflation. So what's coming for BP Pay is that the BP Pay right now scales based on the current token price. If the token price goes down, there is a parachute system that will pay out more to the guilds so they can maintain their infrastructure and at least one or two people working that infrastructure. And this will also happen in the opposite direction, so that if the price goes up, the BP Pay in Wax will go down, so they don't get an absurd amount of money. And this will likely also apply to savings, so that the savings inflation will reduce as the US dollar price increases, so that we overall can get the deflation down. 2% of the inflation we have is paid out to token holders, and that did not exist on EOS. On EOS, everything, these 2% out of the 5% would have also gone into their savings funds. They did not really use.
Okay, I don't know if you know Doyen Games, aka T-Break, aka Kaz, the founder of Terraformers, but he's one of the smartest people you'll ever meet. He's just absolutely brilliant, and would probably give us both a run for our money as far as like hardest working on Wax, dude. Like this dude is just always going full speed. So yeah, shout out to buddy Kaz. I'm trying to figure out the difference here. I hope it's not disrespectful that I'm like openly voting for Anders. I'm trying to show people how to vote and where to do it. I don't feel like
I'm fine with whoever you vote for. I don't. I'm unbiased.
Yeah,
I don't vote a grudge.
Y'all so go vote. In fact, if you we're gonna do a bunch of grubs. I'm gonna try to get like some other things working. I was gonna try to get the trust score so that y'all could see it, and then we could maybe play a game of like highest score wins, which we could technically do. I'd have to run each one, and then hopefully Jaws isn't listening, so he doesn't hear how I'm running those API calls through the roof. But here's the for the candidates. All right, next up on the PowerPoint of hell.
Yeah, hit me.
Have you ever seen these diagrams and what they represent? I'm going to guess not. I can zoom in some. Maybe you have. Maybe you do know what it is that we're looking at here. But it's weak. It's the weekend scandal of the last election. Do you know anything about it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
This is a lot of movements. I don't really know what I'm looking at specifically. I see here weekend voting with weekend and BP.weekend for Redleden on probably what is the last day of the election.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who or what HRYKNDTGHY. You know.
Yeah. So
those 3 million, I don't know who they belong to. I don't know what that count is.
Why is Elsie? I'm wondering. So here's how it was explained to me. Admittedly, I've looked at all of these documents. Normally, before I would present something, I would have done my due diligence. So I'm just disclaimering that I haven't done that. I haven't actually went and pulled all of the same data and looked at everything and come to the same conclusions. But I do explicitly trust the source because they've historically they've been very vigilant with protecting wax from bad actors, and so I do appreciate their opinion for that reason. So what was communicated to me was, so we always knew, because I went back to our Discord to look, that Weekend was somehow involved in spacecraft, which is the project Spacecraft X was the um, collection name, which turned out to be rug. Like they just flat out rug pulled, never put anything out. And the connection was allegedly that they had helped with smart contract development, like as a
Yeah,
contract, which is
that can
understandable.
happen.
Sure, yeah, that's completely understandable. But so here's the problem though. A wallet that is undeniably linked to spacecraft had 2.7 million in wax in it, and that was withdrawn. And from what I can only assume was a lame attempt to obfuscate uh, uh, the transfer of it. It was sent to Hugh Boy, or however the hell you say that exchange's name, in two separate transactions, roughly like split down the middle. You can see like 1.7 million and a million there. Um, Sent in, uh, and then the total that came out was the exact amount that went in minus the Hugh Boy fees. So, like, now we're talking about, like, the probability that, this isn't what it looks like. Like, it's it's near impossible. Then went to a wallet that then basically swung the election
And wait,
and so
X PJ, yeah, that's the Huobi cold wallet. That's why it's coming out there. That's not an obfuscation. They deposit the funds to Huobi and then withdrew them again from Huobi. That's pretty
who
obvious what happened there.
who, say
Because Huobi and WXPE something is both Huobi. That's both Huobi. The Huobi Wax deposit is the income address, and the other is the Huobi cold storage.
okay,
So it's the same.
okay, and then, where did it vote at? It was,
But this is wrong because the numbers lie. Oh no, wait, there's another 300K. Oh yeah, okay, no. But this does not does it add up? Wait a
I
second.
have another slide as well.
Wait a
I
second.
can send these over to you. I wanted to know if you were aware of it. Had you heard of it? It I don't know if the person that provided this data is in. Like, I asked them if they wanted to be anonymous. They said they didn't care, but I still don't necessarily feel comfortable just like outing people without them being present, or saying like, yeah, hey, this is me and here's what I see. I can certainly send this over to you. This was the bit here. Just the way that it looks is it looks like they at the last second took some stolen wax, right? Because if it's a rug pull, dude, those are ill-gotten gains. It's called profiteering. It's not legal in really anywhere. It just hasn't caught up into Web3 yet, and to do that's fucking bullshit, man. Nick Custer's deserved, in my opinion. I understand that he's super aggressive on Twitter, right? And like he's very critical. But
Yeah,
man,
but
that
he's more than just critical. There are some things that were pretty much dick moves. Something you shouldn't do as a decent person.
I saw
Like
what he used to call the dick move most recently when
this
he
was
found that server bug, right? Is that what you're about
yeah.
to?
Yeah, I'm this the server bug that he
Yeah.
exposed publicly in the Wax developer group, and then went to Twitter 5 minutes later without giving them the time to shut down the server, respond anywhere. This is just not what you do as a decent person, and you make me really, really angry, and I'm still angry about it. It's
Right,
just
right.
not something you do.
I can't say that I would, I can't say that I agree with that, and I probably wouldn't. Like, I know myself. I wouldn't unless I had a beef with you, like, and I wanted to
Yeah,
intentionally inflict
yeah,
damage,
yeah.
like, you
That's
know
the
what I
point.
mean?
You
I
only
don't
do
mean like
this
I didn't
if
mean
you
to do that.
intentionally want to inflict damage.
Right.
So
But I love Nick, and I feel like he is, a huge asset despite, and we've all got our flaws, man. All of us, none of us are perfect, and I think we can all improve in some areas. But when it comes down to just raw, I think he would be a lot more present, and I feel like I don't like what was it about Rakuten that was so fucking important that this had to happen? And I've had my theories, which we can probably just move on because I guess if you haven't been privy to this information, I was gonna write a blog, but then one of my so all of my business partners are like the yin to my yang, right? And so like since Sandy's been gone, like that's why I've been kind of just it's a madhouse because I have nobody like keeping me in check. But luckily, the Chain Champs partnership has like level-headed and smart people, and out of respect for them, I'm not going to write a blog because it just it would be it would probably cause this drama that we don't need
Yeah.
right now. Like it's clear you're going to win this, but it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be addressed because I feel like it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I can get you the data.
Full
Yeah,
disclosure, I did not know who those 3 millions were coming from. I don't know. I knew there were the 3 million that came in on the last minute. I did not know where they came from.
right.
But
And that's stupid and it sucks and
but
it's
Yanis
it's
would have won even without these 3 millions voting. He was 4 millions ahead, and to be honest, I would have
you
likely
don't
voted for him. If
but
it had come to it, I would probably have voted for Rakeden. I moved my votes away from Rakeden because I didn't want to influence the election too much, because people were following my vote. So I
right,
shifted all my votes to Mike.
right, and so just speaking of that, like, that's so broken, dude, like, does Atomic Hub vote? I heard they
They
don't.
don't right now.
Why
They
not?
used to because they
Because
don't
they're
feel the
too
need.
powerful. Yeah,
They
and I
Atomic no Atomic is look at the vote. Look, I don't think Atomic has that many votes anymore. They had to liquidate a lot of funds.
I think everybody has, man. Alright, let's keep going with our spiciness. I think the next one's probably the most fun. Alright.
But yeah, but then again,
Alright.
I don't know who the funds are coming from.
Okay. Alright. Here's a good
And
one
now I
here.
don't know if the funds that were sent, the 3 millions or the 2.7, are who they belong to. If they belong to Wecan or if they belong to somebody else.
Yeah,
So
I'm pretty sure it was
I
spacecraft. I'll
I
I'll
don't
get
know
you
if it's pay they got from spacecraft or if it's somebody. So I don't have the background information on that. I just don't have it.
right, right,
So
right, right, right,
it's
right.
hard for me to tell what was going on there without
Okay,
doing
y'all, it's
some
not
very,
Quay.
very deep due diligence.
Yeah, it's exclamation Kafer followed by your wallet address. And y'all, I tried to get you guys to test out my bot. So exclamation get wax should tell you if I have you. And I apparently have multiple, and then it'll tell you to set your just preferred. Um, please do that so I can sell your data for lots of money without you knowing. I'm just kidding. So that I can do cool shit and send NFTs through Twitch. All right, let's take a look at this here. There's a
Yeah.
little conversation in in the Telegram over the Atomic King. So this was in a conversation that had to do with a few things. I just
Yeah, this
highlighted
was based
that.
on a message in Wax Unofficial where it addressed the whole issue with subgroups putting up the us versus them mentality and
Right.
stuff like that.
So what I highlighted here, my comments were
Yeah,
directed against TD and NFT Gamer that have done way worse when it comes to that.
yeah.
Uh, like now I'm asking you honestly, like I'm open to constructive criticism, even unconstructive. I'll take it to heart if it has merit. Um, what are we doing so poorly at?
Oh, what you did was the whole shit show in January, where there were a lot of false claims and misinformation that was spread repeatedly, even after being corrected. And when corrected, would just be moved on to the next false claim. And this went on. And even after that, in the following month, I have been monitoring to some extent the NFT Gamer Discord, where
Sure.
stuff like this was still shared and claimed. So there was a clear us versus them mentality on NFT Gamer, and to some extent, I'm pretty sure still is in the community. If we
Right.
And this is what I was addressing there, because I think we all need to collaborate and we need to act together because we all have the best interest of the chain at hand and in our minds, and we should come together and not work against each other.
I
And this
I
is why
I
it's not
I
us
agree.
versus them, it's us
No,
versus the world. We need to make it work successful, and for this we need to work together and not make
100%.
up shitty conspiracy theories and spread
Well,
misinformation and false claims.
so that's the part where we're gonna diverge on, right? And I feel like I've always been very clear about whether or not I have data or I haven't, or if it was an opinion. And I only say this because I know that I've done it a few times in this interview. Um, do I have the best delivery? No, no way. Like that's been like perennial feedback that I've gotten at every single place that I've worked. That like, well, at least in a leadership role, like yo, you got to watch like your delivery sucks, man. Like it doesn't matter if you're right. You just the way you talk to people is just too abrasive, and it's a terrible trait that I inherited from my father, and I'm on the East Coast. Like I don't know if you know Rick Courier, but we're close, and he's a fucking asshole. He is, and I can tell you why. It's because he's from New York. Like that's like the
That's
worst
a
people
very, very poor
ever.
excuse. That's a very
Yeah,
poor excuse.
I don't know,
I
man.
knew no
And
very decent people from New York.
yeah, they can be okay, but they can also be like very abrasive. Only people worse are New Jerseyans. Okay, I'm not gonna disagree that I've been critical. I feel like the things that I've been critical on have merit, and I feel like we've talked about a lot of them in this interview.
And I
Um,
think a lot of was said right. So a lot was said right, but there still was a lot shit talk going on.
yeah, yeah, there was, yeah,
And I
there was.
actually saw you when I wrote that. I saw you typing on the group for like 20 minutes, and I was waiting for your response,
Oh yeah,
but it
no, so
never came. And I was
that was
tired
just
and
for
wanted
you.
to go to bed, but
Yeah,
it still
I
said
never
ED
seen
is
it.
typing, and I was waiting.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, and I'm sorry that I didn't even see that. I wasn't even like I hadn't even seen that. I was responding to something else that I decided not to. So look, I'm changing. Like I'm trying to do the right thing. I typed up likely something that probably would have I would have regretted, having said. And so, like Zuler hit me up. He's like, dude, I don't know if you're responding to so and so, but if dude, like, stop it. And I was like, fuck that. And I was all angry. Luckily, Brandon from Warsaken had just by happenstance. I'm like, I don't believe in divine intervention, but if there were ever to have been divine intervention in my life, this would have been that moment. Because he's like, "Hey, that licensing agreement we were talking about, I'm ready to do that. What's your information again?" And so like it went from like super frustrated to like elated,
Okay.
and so I deleted everything.
I was
All right,
also when I wrote this, I was still pissed because of the whole thing on Twitter because it was like it was
we're
going
gonna get into that.
towards. Hmm?
Oh well, yeah, yeah, we're gonna get into so this next
Okay.
one. Just look how they are trying to
I don't
buy.
know what that was in response
Yeah,
to.
I
I
have
don't
no
know who is
idea.
buying up the community. I have no
I
clue
don't
in
know
what the
what
context of that statement is, to be honest.
yeah, like, I definitely
I would
don't.
have to look that up and look up the conversation. I don't know who I'm referring to here.
Yeah, because like, we totally aren't, like, out there trying to buy friends or sub-gifting people and stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Like, I don't know if you noticed, I just dropped
No, that was after the sub gifting I noticed on the other stream, but this was after I wrote this. So no,
yeah,
I don't. I honestly I don't know anymore what the context of this statement is.
okay,
I would
yeah,
have to
I
go
just
through
added
the
that in
entire
because I knew I was
conversation
gonna
and would circle back to
take
that.
this opportunity to make a joke out of it and do some, gift subs for our community. Yes, we are historically, Sandy and I, have been generous with, and I can tell you why. well, Sandy has no appreciation. Well, neither do I. Like we both don't have the same appreciation, nor is it a concern that or drive or lust for money that most people have. Like I can almost say like I hate it, but like if you see the way I treat it, like I definitely don't love it. Like I'm always abandoning it and trying to get rid of it. Um, and I don't know what the core of it is, but I can assure you that if you were to ask around, like we've never once tried to leverage reciprocity there. Anytime we've gifted anything, there's
No,
a
I'm definitely not referring to that. If I was referring to you there, it was definitely not referring to that. I don't know anymore what this was about. I would have to read the whole convo and put me back back to that. Maybe I don't know,
Yeah.
honestly.
Okay, cool. All good. Shout out to Super Dope, our friend, for the raid, man. Y'all are awesome. There's a grubber in the back, exclamation Kafer, followed by your wallet address. And all right, and then attacked by the community constantly. All right, and so you talked about the Twitter thing with Raikkonen, right? So after our interview, I got tons of good feedback about it. I mean, a lot, and people
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. I think it was the first time that the active OIG was interviewed by anybody. We had a good conversation, as I feel like this was as well, and I was excited to move on to the next one and get Racketen and I highlighted all the dates here.
I must admit, I'm not on the same page with Rickett and what when it comes to that. I think he should have gone on, but I understand that
Why has he never been on video? Like at one point, you want
he
to talk
has
about
been on
tips?
video multiple times.
I don't believe that. Where? I don't
He
think,
has. We have had multiple public guild rounds with big guild calls where he had been on camera.
like, can you
He
see
has
this?
been, and he has also been on. But we always do it on Google Meets, so there was no capture of it.
Right. So I know he's a real person because I went like there's been people that I've mentioned it to, and they went and they've actually like done
Yeah, I know. I've heard.
uh,
No, but there is also he was also at Amsterdam when we had the meetup and
right.
FT
And then
Box.
and then people I respect said they met him. I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So he's a real person. Why he's that camera shy? Like
No, he
tell
was not. He's not camera shy. He's absolutely not camera shy. He's also doing spearheading the guild call, the public roundtables we'll have soon, where he also will be on camera. He just didn't want to get on with your community because they attacked him. And
so here's the thing. Okay, so
I can stomach that is somebody
I did
making stupid comments and throwing
right.
shit at me, but not everybody can do that.
So here's what happened on
keep
the
his calm.
19th. He says, "Hey, thanks for inviting me. Let's wait for the election to conclude, please. It's busy and nerve wracking for me. I'll make sure we can have a great talk afterwards." To which I said, "I'll tell you what, Rakuten, I'll send you questions in advance. We can record the interview offline, i.e., not live on Twitch, and what gets aired will be at your discretion. I just find that after the election, we lose a ton of interest and value. I know it's a late ask. My apologies."
Yeah.
To which he declined again. Or no, he didn't decline that. This is way out of order because this was hard to do, but let's try to make the best of it and just send me the questionnaire. I'll do my best to answer everything in time. And then I think where things turned, where I said, so 6 days later, so on the 26th, I said, "Hey, Reckoning, as the kids say, you left me on red. Would really like to get an interview in before Monday. We've coordinated a special guest to be interviewed then, and it would really, really help to have a complete picture from all parties beforehand. What day this week works best?" And then I said, "I wonder if we can get a retweet on Wax on this." I received, and then so like everything here, in my opinion, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, being very respectful and professional and appropriate, and it wasn't.
I think he felt pressure. I don't know what else went on there. I'm not in his shoes.
When
But
you
he felt
had chimed
pressured.
in, you had chimed in, right? And you had chimed in after a lot of it, and you said, "I wonder if trying to pressure someone into an interview is the right way to approach this." To which I replied, "It wasn't my scheduled interview. I requested it be held before the election under extraordinarily accommodating grounds. It was declined and deferred. He said so. He said like, I can't do it before. I'll do it after. But then like and then reneged on that. And so of course I'm going to be upset. Time is my most precious
Yeah,
commodity,
of course.
and this was important to me in this moment. I feel like the drive that we even with all of this negativity, you know, I feel like it was necessary, right? Because look at how things are now. Now we're talking about like I had been in wax for a fucking year and a half, dude, before I even knew that it was a thing. And now you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like what Alcy did and what Courier did and what Boris and Token Gamer and you know, yourself and Mike Waxdow and like everybody in that moment in that period, like really kind of like you know started the train moving in the right direction, and we still have a lot to go. There's the rest of it here. I don't need to go over all of it, but I just feel like maybe you didn't have the full picture. I can send you
Yeah, I
uh,
didn't. It's
if you were curious, but
in the end,
I
it's
didn't get angry until you had said like I was pressuring him. I said, you know,
I didn't
it's like
like the part about getting the wax retreat because this felt like trying to. So I think the history here is I was still emotional because
sure,
of everything that was going on in my life,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
we had it a lot of times that guilds tried to go over our heads to the wax team and tried to get the wax team to overrule our decisions. So this was sort of the vibe I got when you asked the wax team to retweet. So this was also
but they
always
never
something.
did it. They
Getting
fucking
wax in, it was always something people did to try to pressure us, and this is why I reacted
okay.
to probably poorly in retrospect,
Yeah, well, now I
but
know that,
that's
and
why I reacted emotionally there, because it was always when it came to wax, when people went to the wax
yeah,
team in regards to IG, it was always to pressure us in things we did or didn't want to do.
right. And then even to you, I said, please cite examples of negative context, and I will do my best to communicate. In general, peak peak of evaluation period is usually not the best time for an interview. And so this is like a fair question that you didn't answer. I'd like to ask you it again now. So I said, well, I see a fair and obvious solution here. You cover his workload in his absence. It'll be 2 to 3 hours at most. And
Yeah,
I
but
would
it doesn't work like this because every guild has to do the same work. Uh, and if I can't do the same work twice, and then they say this was peer reviewed,
I,
that's the problem. I can't
I
cover
would have
his work.
imagined you would as the most tenured, which I thought you are not. You would be more occupied during peak out evaluation period had Mike or Nick won, correct? So I said, thus this small concession seems insignificant in comparison. I would think that creating time for an ad hoc interview for the sole candidate whom the community has yet to hear from and who also had won should be priority here. And so my question just was like you were saying that um um like y'all were too busy, and it's like, well, what happened if Mike won? Like, and that it kind
If
of just
Mike won,
that's
then
a
Rakeden
conspiracy
still would
theory.
have been busy because he would have essentially been the person in that time to onboard Mike, because Rakeden would then have done his evaluation together with Mike, likely if Mike was
Interesting.
free for it.
All right, this one got its own slide. Just watch your show with Caver. Awesome content. I'm thus thankfully declining to appear on your show. Have a great day. That's all. Okay,
Awesome.
whatever.
Yeah, that's a great statement.
Yeah, that's how he left it.
Yeah, I think he
There,
saw,
I think, yeah, there was some.
while on your show, I got attacked by a couple of your community members
Well,
that
yeah,
were,
there. I mean,
and
we had learned something that we felt like we had been lied to about for a long time.
that
It's
was.
not a good. It's not a good feeling to be told that you matter in something, and they learn that like, you know, I'll still say, like, I've made it the comment several times, like, cast your vote that has no meaning for Anders, and I'll say something sarcastic and negative about it, and I feel the same way about U.S. elections, if that makes any difference. But Yeah, I feel like our votes are meaningless, and I didn't know that. And when I found that out, like I was upset about it. I
Yeah,
was
but
very
your votes
upset.
aren't meaningless, and that's what I keep saying.
They are,
Because
though, dude.
they aren't. The community right now is leading the vote. The majority of the tokens is coming from community members, not from guilds.
Okay, I haven't looked at the data. I'll break it down. I'm
So
going to
the last
guess
time
that it's like 5 fucking people, though. It's like 5 huge accounts, and that's not
there is a couple
that's a
huge
few
accounts.
tokens. That's like
Yeah, but it's a couple huge accounts that have a big share. But these accounts are community members. It's not guilds. These is mostly people. I haven't done the math yet. I wanted to do.
99% from the top 10, so 10 people control it. That's
I doubt 99 is top 10. Did you do the math correctly?
I
I didn't check, but it doesn't
I
look
would
like it because 1, 2, 3.
I don't know if Anders here,
No,
before we
I'm on the
nerd
wrong
out, let's get
election.
this running here.
If I look at the top 10, then
Oh, Raikkonen's here.
it's
Yeah.
definitely not
Yeah,
correct.
I can send you a link, dude. We can squash this whole thing right now. Just come pop into the stream, say hello, let me see your face and talk to you. And I'll apologize with my hat in my hand and say I was wrong for doubting that you even existed. But thank you for the follow. Um, I think the main problem is that a lot of people are just not using their voting power. It's not that their vote would be meaningless. I don't think that I don't think that there's enough time between the elections for the community to even obtain through the marketplaces enough wax to win, right? So let's say 10 people are controlling it right now. For another 10 to get there, I feel like it would be like some ridiculous amount of money and the price of wax it would do so much damage. It would look
Nah, that's
a
not
pump
true.
and dump and
No, no. There is
um
enough volume to acquire millions even within 1 month. There is enough liquidity on Binance.
okay.
So that's not actually the issue. You could if you wanted to, but at least to get into the top 10 or something. Wax is a chain with almost no whales, and the biggest wallets aren't voting. If you look at the rich list on Waxblock, you will see that we don't have many whales. It's a community chain.
But the whales are beluga fucking Moby Dick sized. They're I think belugas aren't that big. Which
Oh, the
biggest ones?
top 10 to respond to
Anyways.
Anders, the top 10 right now have 70% of the vote. So yeah, it's a lot, but it's not 99.99. It's 70%. And last time I did the count, it was 40% of the vote power coming from guilds, and it's less than that now because more wallets have voted. So it's more like 35% maybe
All right.
that is
If
vote power
you
coming from guilds.
I'm gonna post something in the private chat, so I don't gotta put
Yeah.
you on the spot. And then we'll get this upfish going.
I can. Oh, that's not what was comments. No. Where did you post something? No, you didn't post anything in private chat yet. Or did you mean Telegram? No.
It'll pop up on your right. There'll be a little red badge on the private chat.
Yeah, right now there's a red badge on the comments, but that's not it.
Yeah, there you go. Boom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
go for it. All right, sweet, cool. Thank you, man. Hey,
No problem.
anybody? I mean, if anybody is so daring to join me and Kafer, there's the StreamYard link. It's super easy. Come on in and ask your questions as face to
Anders,
face.
your chance.
You get, yeah, dude, come on in. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, here we go.
Oh, I didn't join. Damn.
I don't think I did either. Oh, God damn it. Let me see. Did I? No.
I'm interested in running. I'll take the time and run the other numbers of the wallets I know are guild wallets and check how much of a percentage they have right now in the vote. Thing is, over the bear market and with wax being as low as it is, and for a prolonged time, guilds not being able to cover their bills from what they get paid to be a guild, most guilds had to sell significant amounts of tokens. And there is not many guilds anymore that hold a significant amount. I think it's essentially mostly Bounty Block, EOS Sweden, EOS Sphere, and then there's a couple that didn't vote. Like Wax USA has a couple, EOS Rio has a couple.
Yeah.
But most of the guilds actually don't have that many left.
All right. Who's the winner? Well, it's an open invite for anybody. I'm sorry that you don't have any voice left. I'm glad that I like the second part of what you had to say there. Tissues on the winner. Let's see who the cold-blooded killer was. Chris B. He's psychopath killing 7 grubs. Nice job. All right, I got couple more slides. They're nerdy technical stuff and
Oh, I was right. My assumption was right. Right now, the guilds have a share of 35% in the vote. So 65% of all votes are coming from community wallets and accounts.
yeah,
the
but
vote
without
is
a
not
forensic on
controlled.
that, that's not. Yeah, I hear what you're about to say, but like you gotta go deeper than that because
I did actually go deeper, at least in the big whale wallets, and I can say with some certainty that none of the top 10 wallets, to my knowledge, are tied to guilds, because these are mainly people that have done the swap, and they have been here at chain launch, and at chain launch no guild has been here, almost none, because Wax was not run by these guilds when it was launched. It was run by the Wax team and some selected entities that are not with us anymore. And this is the case for all the big wallets that voted.
To answer Rakanen's question, the best one, man. What do you mean? Who's crushing it? Did you see the numbers? Like month after month, like just crushing everybody else by at least like I don't know 10 milliseconds. I forget how much they're beating everyone by, but Taco is doing very well. At least in the numbers that I saw on the tools that Fede had sent over. Y'all got a bunch of tools, man. I'm gonna get them aggregated. He was sending me all kinds of stuff I had no idea existed. Apparently, a lot of the guilds have built tools for BPs, performance measurements, and measuring tools and all that. And there's a lot, and I wouldn't know where to find them. So yeah, they definitely need to be aggregated and kept somewhere. There was some cool shit in there for sure. To answer your question, it's definitely Taco, and it's because of you know I'd been a big supporter. You know, I saw Fed early on, right, and I had the app early on, and we talked early on, and I said, "Damn, this dude's he's gonna be doing this no matter what." Like, and that's what that's what I want to invest in. I don't invest in projects for ROI or for money. Like I said to you, like money is I don't have the same feelings about it that like a lot of people do. But I do people. I want to invest in people and I want to see them do well. And I had a gut instinct about Taco and Warsaken and Million on Mars is kind of well, they're in Austin, so there's also that. So I was biased there, but um, when you look at these projects, man, I feel like you have to look at Pixigon right now and Tourist Station
Oh
are two.
damn! I missed the Pixicon drop.
Didn't
Shit.
we? Fuck.
I think. Oh yeah, yeah. It was shit.
God
It
damn
was about the time we started the call.
it. Anders, we need to help. We need you to help us out here. Yeah, dude, we need help. Who? Taco? Yeah. Yeah, they are amazing. um, People that are gonna develop their project through the bear, like I've been trying to get the bear biddle hashtag to catch fire. Doesn't seem to want to, but the sentiment is the same. And anybody building right now and not closing up shop, in fact, probably building harder than they were in the bull, are like that's who I want to support. That's what I want. I want to support the developer like Anders that I know has been a lifelong dev, and no matter what the circumstances are, he's probably going to be coding tonight. You know what I mean? Um, and there's just a few projects out there, like I said, Turret Station is another one. Like those guys, no matter what, I feel like they're going to be developing their game. Like I don't think they even sell anything or haven't yet. uh oh shit, I love Terraformers out. Like he's 100,000% another one. Kaz he's been building his game for 2 fucking years now, dude, and like he's not gonna stop. Yeah, so sorry for all the shilling. Apparently, I shill too much, but I have no
I used the wrong window again.
real. By definition, I think a shill needs a financial incentive tied to it, which I have none at the moment. With Warsaken, I do, but we're also not doing anything currently with that licensing agreement. Currently, we will. All right, you want to look at the nerd shit now? All right, so this is this. Okay, go ahead. All right, so this is the most recent Antelope patch
this is
upgrade.
from this afternoon. It's like 3, 4, 5 hours old.
Right. Yeah. So if you look at it, you can see that it says a critical patch which eliminates a security vulnerability. Doesn't give you a whole lot of details. Also includes bug fixes aimed at enhancing the stability and performance of Leap. All Antelope nodes should upgrade to a version of Leap containing the security patch, and then it names it, right? And then it talks about the eliminate denial of service vulnerability. Doesn't go into a whole lot of detail there. They could have done better on this, I think, but then at the same time, maybe you don't want to give out too much information. But the fact that this is a decentralized ecosystem, the lack of communication and documentation, like I still don't know what happened in August, and then again, I guess like the following year. So there was the vulnerability attack. Oh shit, we got a hype train.
You read the post that Andrews wrote?
I did, and it didn't contain. It had a rough explanation, right? And it said, I feel like there was supposed to be a follow up. I did read it, but here's the thing with that. Anders is he's a block producer, but he's not fucking Wax employee, and that's just what like.
No, but the guilds are responsible to do and address this stuff. It's not Wax's responsibility.
Do a post-mortem on their fucking chain. I disagree, dude. Like I like
that's where the fact comes in that Wax on attack and production level is decentralized. The guilds run the infrastructure. They maintain the infrastructure and they maintain the software. And the software is also not maintained by Wax. all the core system contracts and upgrades when something is merged. So Leap is the basis of everything, and then the Leap updates are merged into the Wax code base, and this is done by guilds, not by the Wax core
So
team.
then why is the CTO not part of, like, why is, like, and I know that it's probably just a stupid question, and you can kind of just, you could counter it in any way. It's just not the way things work in other corporate structures. And Ennio didn't write a post-mortem, man. He wrote a blog article. It was not a here's what went wrong, here's how we're going to fix it, here's how we're going to guarantee our shareholders, i.e. our community or our investors or whatever, are protected. Any of that. It didn't. It was a blog post, and
Yeah.
it was a good blog post, but it was
Yeah.
just that it was not a post-mortem that I would expect from you know,
But
a
it
more,
was an issue the guilds had. So the Wax team could probably not have done a better job than what Anders wrote. That was the message the community needed, and that was all there was to say at that point.
What about, okay, then, but so then what about when the second one happened? There was just like buzz that it happened, and there was like, is it still an issue? Is this release, or was this just happened to be like a security audit and somebody was like, oh shit, like we got to
It
patch,
was
or
the
did it
sev-
happen again here, and it's still a thing, and
It's
we're
still a
still
thing. It's a core flaw in how Antelope Elite works on some level. So there are workarounds, and every time something like this comes up, we try new things. And we worked a lot of
sorry, I got that. That's my bad.
we worked out a couple of things that seemed to work, so it didn't happen again so far. But yeah, that's just what happens. It was
Okay.
essentially an overflow of the producer nodes by circumventing the initial checks that bypass failing
Oh shit.
failing transactions. So what happened there was essentially a transaction comes in, and usually the API node that forwards it to the producer checks if the transaction should go through or not, because the API node checks if the transaction is valid. And what was done there was that the producer node was overflown with transactions that passed the initial check and then failed on the producer level due to contract interactions that happened at a later point. So initially, the transaction seemed valid and then did not. And
Okay.
through this, but this means the producer got a lot of bad transactions that then failed. And because of this, it was not able to process all the valid transactions because it was occupied processing failing transactions.
Right, which is essentially a DDoS, right?
It was essentially a DDoS attack of the producer nodes. And we now have a very robust structure preventing this, but it's still a flaw in how transactions are processed on the core level of the chain.
Yeah. Okay. And so this is probably the part that you might not like. So this is the Antelope version of this, and if you go to the Wax version, this is the Wax version of it. And like, I see that you're linked to the other one, but the lack of information here, I don't know, man. This just doesn't meet my expectation.
This is not. Wait. This
So
is just. These were just the divs. There is an official. This was merged into an official release on the Wax blockchain. So this is also merged into the Wax.
So you're
Wax
saying that
blockchain
I can find all of this information, that it's a critical patch, and that everybody should upgrade to this. I can find this on the Wax side of things.
So there has been a blog post by the OIG. I don't know if you saw that on Medium.
Definitely not. No. If it went up today, hell no, I didn't see it.
Everything happened. This whole thing went public today. So I am addressing this and going further on with this as soon as this call is over.
Yeah.
Because I have this on my to-do list to make submit a post about this.
All right, then I don't need to stress you out with it. I just point out
It's
this
something
dichotomy.
we're working on because it's current. It's this week. It's today. This was released today and made
Yeah,
public today. It's something we address today. So we are not done addressing this, done communicating this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, last thing from
I'm not sure if I can post, but I can link the OIG Medium where he did one post. We have it on Telegram. It was probably shared by now in all important channels. And it's also addressed in the V5 5.1 guidelines with the evaluation that is coming this week. Because the snapshot for this is tomorrow. And then we also require all guilds to submit their hotfix state if they all applied the hotfix or updated to the newest version. And we're also also updating the minimum version number guilds are required to run to pass the validation.
Yeah. Okay. So at one point, was it a requirement that the producers provided P2P seed nodes for the network, and then I think at some point they changed this, and I believe Pink immediately dropped support for their P2P node, and I've always wondered why. I think I know why, but it seems pretty silly that something like that can happen and the BPs don't have to provide basic infrastructure to peer the entire network.
Everybody has to provide peer-to-peer. If they don't, they get a penalty. And Pink is providing peer-to-peer, like everybody else.
Okay.
You can check the guidelines, if I'm not mistaken. Peer-to-peer is definitely in there, either as a minimum requirement. Now, I think it's not minimum requirement, but it is a secondary requirement. And if you don't provide it, you are penalized.
Yeah, cool. All right, let me just timestamp this.
Let me check.
I don't know if you can.
Just to ensure I'm not talking crap. Let me check the guidelines.
I wouldn't trap you, man. Come on.
I know you would. I know you would. API node endpoint is publicly available for broadcasting transactions, 5-point penalty if missed. Seed node endpoint is publicly available for peering, 5-point penalty if missed. HTTPS is available on API endpoint, 5-point penalty if missed. HTTP, HTTP2 are available on RPC endpoint, API endpoint, 5-point penalty if missed.
Yeah, but are they earning so much that they've dropped it and like
they haven't dropped it?
Okay,
that's the point. They haven't dropped it. You can check for example tools.ledgerwise.io or on Validation Core. You can see that they have it and it's valid and working.
Oh, speaking of new wax software, I sent a message to. So I don't know any like official devs. I have a assumption of people who I think I know work for Wax as developers, and one in particular that I'm sure finds me incredibly annoying. But I love him because he's a genius, and I know he's like a legit genius. I think you know what I'm talking about. I messaged him about something that I noticed in the Wax.js.
Wax.js is not really my area of expertise.
Yeah, so if you go down here to the trust score,
yeah,
it is not in fact wax.trustscore. It is wax.user.trustscore. And I guess I should submit a PR, but I don't know.
Yeah, or an issue.
Yeah.
You can also just open an issue. Maybe there is already an issue.
Possibly. Oh, there's pull requests. Look. All right. We got a lot of good comments here. We'll throw one more grub and I'm gonna let you go finish up your day and your afternoon. And thank you so much for being here with me, man. I think honestly we should probably do this more often than we do because I feel like the community it's good for the community. You know what I mean? They like to ask questions. They like to hear you talk. They like to hear me ask tough questions. that you deflect. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, shit. All right. Everybody get in there. Exclamation K for followed by your wallet address. He hates Apple. That's a real wallet. So I got Mr. Crypto, Danish Crypto tomorrow. Can you believe we've never spoken, not once, not in DM, not in any capacity at all?
Yeah, well, sometime is always the first.
Yeah,
I've met
man.
him in person twice now, so I can say that.
Yeah, that's excellent. I'll have interviewed all three of y'all this time. Very pleased with that. He's early as shit in my morning. It's like 8 a.m.
Ooh.
Which I'm normally still up anyways, so that's fine. But apparently he's in a time zone where that works for him.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think he's
like we're
also should also be UTC +2 like me.
yeah, yeah. You know I hate that rotten fruit. Samsky, super appreciate the incredibly informative interview. Thanks both of you. Well, thank me. Thank Kay for
Yeah.
overall. They say things are moving more in a good direction for Wax themselves. TD and others doing longer streams with all candidates, just not enough. Yeah. Same time zone as all of us. Not as me. I'm not part of us. What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
Yeah, you're not part of the elite European circle. Loser.
Shit. All right. Uh, yeah. All right. Here we go. Count three. 3, 2, 1. Go. Most kills. Last man standing. Kayford, do you have anything for our audience before we let? So we got what today, tomorrow, and then Saturday wraps up voting,
Yeah,
right?
Saturday it wraps up. We'll see if there's something we can do that makes the thing interesting. So like an election end party or something.
Yeah. That would be dope. I feel like there should it should be mandatory, like they do it in like they celebrate it
Yeah,
in real
yeah.
life, right? Like there's always coverage and
Yeah, we might have a surprise coming for the people on Saturday.
yeah, dude.
I'll work that out tomorrow.
Yeah, get something going there. Let me find the link again. I could post it. OIG.wax.io
I
/.
recommend also share NU's website because it's
Yeah.
just way prettier.
Yeah. Do you have anything to shill or plug? Do you have any projects? Are you allowed to do that? It's a better question.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I wouldn't be allowed. But I don't really have something to shill right now, and I don't have a shameless plug.
Okay. I mean, I always do. Apparently, according to some people. But Jaws and I are working diligently on getting Connect 3 to. I mean, I'm currently using it and testing it and just working out some kinks, but it is available. So in case you didn't know what it was, it's just like the Morales or Alchemy equivalent. If you're a developer, you'll know that on EVM chains, there's usually like public APIs that are rate limited, or you can run a node, and then there's something in the middle that's not rate limited and a metered connection and pay as you go, but none such exists that we're aware of on any of the EOSIO chains. And
Yeah, well, yeah, sorry, go on. They didn't want to interrupt you.
yeah, and it's just something that along with other creator services, um, we're both very passionate about, well, at least I can speak for myself. I feel like I can safely speak for Jaws as well. That we're both very passionate about helping the small to medium, which is almost all of Wax, right? Like um, creator, and the that that project that we were talking about that Custer's fucked with, like that, like that's the kind of shit that I want to see. I actually have something on my list at some point that I'm going to circle back to. That's like very much along those lines. Just getting tools and resources and the ability for people of all walks of life, whether you have dev experience or not, if you have an idea and it's dope, like there shouldn't be anything stopping you from building on Wax. That's what makes it so fucking great. And it's like like we have these stupid hindrances in our ways, and all of them, you can break all of them, right? Like you really could. You just have to, it just is going to take some work and get things out to people, that get them out to creatives, man. The example that I give is, y'all know who CS Sully is. He's one of the like top streamers on Wax, right? And he just wanted a simple login site to show off that's on his website. So it's his DAUs and it's not any marketplaces. He wanted to just show off his collection on a WordPress site. And there was, you know, why is there not a WordPress plugin? I mean, it's so silly. It's like if I knew how to do it, I'd have done it already. I know I can learn to do it. I just have other things in front of that. Um, if it's not done by the time these other things get finished, I will make sure that I take care of that. Because dude, 70% of the internet is run on WordPress. Why is Wax not in WordPress? You know what I mean? I don't know if you have an answer for that.
Not
Yeah,
really.
I saw that. I did see that.
Did you
Yeah,
see? Yeah, right. There's Shopify integration.
yeah, I did see that. But just like yeah, and this is the one. Yep, yep.
And this one is pretty great to get started with.
Dev hook tools. Yeah, that's the one.
It's incredible, especially because you don't have to give them permission to upload the smart contract to your account. And this is a feature I love. You don't need a development environment. You can just put together your shit, and then they will just create a multisig. That multisig will deploy the contract on your account.
Yeah, man. Um, I'm a big fan or big believer that WASM and AI are going to be the big Web3 players. We're going to see some cool
Yeah,
shit coming from those two. Hopefully, like this time next year. So, all right, man. This was a long interview. Thank you for your time.
yeah. Thank you
Let
for
me know
having
how
me.
let me know how I can reciprocate the
It got
kind.
me one vote.
Ah, hey, everybody, go vote. I
Yeah,
accidentally
everybody go vote. No matter if you vote for me,
goddamn
for Danish, or
Roxas. No,
Enders,
yeah,
just
dude.
vote.
Between now and like, I might even just do the rest of July if you didn't vote. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do, because I have to write a trust score thing anyway, so it's gonna check to see if you voted. So you better go vote, because if you didn't, like, you're not winning prizes from us. It's just it is
Awesome.
what it is. So um, the NEO link is, let's see, yeah, this one here. And that's all I got. Hayford, thank you so much again. I can't thank you enough. I super appreciate it. Hopefully, I don't know if you'll be up at 8 a.m. tomorrow, but if so, would love to have you in the audience
Most
for the
likely not.
Danish.
And I don't envy you for having to be up at 8 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be like my late night. It's okay. I have an upside. Like I sleep between
Oh
like
yeah, right.
like
You're
10 and
still
10
up, yeah.
and 6 p.m. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it'll be really.
No, for me it's too early. Maybe if my son kicks me out of bed at like that might actually happen because he went to bed early today. But I'm probably deep asleep.
Yeah. All right, awesome. And then Rakuten, I still want you on an interview, so I'll start that Twitter thread back up. I'm just kidding. I love you guys all. Remember to please be kind to your fellow human because you never know what they're going through. So just be nice, even when it's like super hard to do. You'll feel better about it. And on that note, we're out of here. We're gonna find somewhere for you to land. Make sure you show them uh, your love and our love, and it's gonna be Neon Space because those guys are dope as fuck, and you're gonna learn even more stuff over there than you could ever learn here. So go say hi to our Neon friends, and y'all have a good one.